Trump administration escalated a trade war between the world's two largest economies, moving ahead with tariffs on $50 billion of Chinese goods and provoking an immediate tit-for-tat response from Beijing. Hi, I'm Ranami Abug, and I'm here to discuss the decoding part of Asian regionalism. But before that, let me give you a quick overview about Asian regionalism. So, Asian regionalism is the product of economic interaction, not political planning. As a result of successful, outward-oriented growth strategies, Asian economies have grown not only richer, but also closer together. An example of Asian regionalism is the ASEAN Economic Community, which is a vision for the association of Southeast Asian nations to become a single economic market and production base. Now, let's jump in trade war between China and the USA. The economic conflict began when the Trump administration imposed 25% tariffs on $50 billion worth of Chinese goods. In response, Beijing quickly retaliated with tariffs on 106 American products of similar value, escalating tensions and sparking fears of a full-scale trade war between the two largest economies. The targeted U.S. exports include key goods such as aircraft, soybeans, and car, which is the top 3 American exports to China, as well as whiskey, tobacco, cotton, wheat, and corn. China's Foreign Ministry Geng Shuang criticized Trump's approach, stating that attempts to pressure or intimidate China would not succeed. Implications for the global market. US and China are the two largest economies, and they are known for trading goods. The economic conflict between these two can affect the global market by disrupting trade flows such as imposing tariffs on each other's goods that would increase costs for businesses and consumers. It also reduce the volume of trade between the two nations, forcing companies to seek alternative suppliers in other countries that may disrupt the global supply chains. Factors led to the Trump administration's decision to impose tariffs on China. Unfair trade war practices. The Trump administration accused China of unfair trade practices, such as intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and government subsidies that give Chinese companies an unfair advantage. Tariffs were meant to pressure China into changing these policies. Protecting the American industries. To protect the American industries, such as the American industries and farmers, by making the foreign competition less competitive. This decision would boost American jobs and domestic production. U.S. strategy. To maintain the U.S. dominance in international trade and prevent China from overtaking the U.S. as the world's largest economy. Opinion on China's hitback. They are not the ones who started it, as China stated that they do not want a trade war. However, if the U.S. administration starts one, then they will not back down. China's response is a normal reaction for any economy that will face a similar situation. It demonstrates strength and signals that they will stand firm in a trade conflict with the U.S. administration. This strategy aims to put pressure on Trump's administration by creating domestic economic and political consequences. However, this move is also risky, as it could harm China's economy, given its reliance on exports and its supply chain integration with the US. But if we could recall the news, both economies could suffer consequences such as slower growth, disrupted trade flows, and increased costs for businesses and consumers. This trade war will not create a winner. Instead, it will lead to economic uncertainty for the global economy. Impact on the global economy. The trade war between the two countries has both positive and negative impacts on the global economy. On the positive side, other countries benefit from the trade war by diversifying their trade relationships. The increasing demand for foreign products encourages consumers to purchase locally made goods. Additionally, competition between economies has intensified, pushing businesses to innovate and introduce new products to the market. However, the trade war also has negative consequences. It has slowed global economic growth. Moreover, it has contributed to inflation, as tariffs have increased the cost of goods and services for both businesses and consumers. Lastly, it has led to a decline in trade and investment for the countries directly involved in the conflict. Impact on the Asian region. The US-China trade dispute has profoundly impacted global economic and political dynamics, especially in Southeast Asia and the ASEAN nations. Global supply chains have changed due to this war, forcing companies to diversify and move their manufacturing outside China and the US. The trade conflict has led to a sizable reduction in trade between the US and China in 2019 and is accompanied by considerable trade diversions to imports from other regions, leading to reorganization of value chains in East Asia. And that's it for the decoding part of Asian regionalism. Thank you so much for listening.